Welcome to an exploration of how event apps increase attendee engagement and are an essential for the future of meetings and conventions. This is a presentation of a professional paper submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the Master of Science in Hotel Administration. The author is Havovie Suraliwalla, and the chairperson is Hailen Lena Kim. To tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Havovie Suraliwalla, and I have a Bachelor of Tourism Management from Thompson Rivers University. Currently, I'm an Enterprise Mobile Solutions Specialist, aka creating event apps. Previously, I was an event planner for medical and dental meetings. My current employer is CVent Incorporated, and I work in the Client Services Department under the Premium Services sector. What Premium Services is a white glove service, app building help that we give to our clients. We take all of their content for their meeting or event, we clean the data, and we help them input it. We also provide a consultation. We handhold them every step of the way, so the event planner has almost little to no work to do for their event. To give you an introduction of this paper, I chose to explore how event apps increase attendee engagement and are an essential for the future of meetings and conferences. I started the paper by saying the now for some doubles as the future for others. Not everyone in the meetings and events industry is at the same place. However, trends definitely show that one of the first ways event planners choose to bring their meetings out of what some may even refer to as archaic practices and into the future is by implementing an event app. They allow amazing benefits such as real-time updates and feedback gathering and many more benefits of attendee engagement. We'll get into those a little later. The first thing I'd like to do is go through the purpose of the study. There's already interest and traction from meeting planners for new event technologies such as virtual presence, virtual reality, chatbots, artificial intelligence, even facial recognition, and more at events. So it's important to take a look at where we're going, where we are, and what's happening with the industry, especially how event apps increase attendee engagement, as an event really relies on what the attendees get out of it. I myself have plenty of international experience and can definitely use many cases throughout this presentation to draw upon. I am located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the event apps built by me and the company I work for, CVent, are used all around the world by many different types of companies in several instances. So for this study, I wanted to really dig deep and see how they increase attendee engagement. And I started off by defining what an app is. App is short for mobile application, which is tailor-made software for mobile devices that generally improves the user experience of mobile services. Apps offer unique opportunities because developers beyond the relative closed mobile phone market can design an app, aka event planners. This has led to a plethora of apps being developed for as wide a range of purposes, including a variety of contexts. As we go through this presentation, I have some examples of the apps that I've created for clients, and you'll get to see some of these throughout the photos. The event industry needs to look forward and into new technologies, because technology is incorporated into every facet of life and it's experienced as an enhancement in every experience we encounter, whether it's meetings or even daily life. Everything from my Apple smartwatch to my meetings app for the meeting I'm going to next week. Stakeholders and leadership of companies are definitely interested in analytics and learning more on how much they're getting for their investment, because let me tell you, the apps don't come cheap. However, we can get into more on savings and environmental benefits a little later in this presentation. The other important point to touch on is the importance of attendee engagement to ensure successful adoption. Without anyone using the apps, there is no point of having the app. Some of this is definitely apparent in social exchange theory. We also talk a lot about co-creation theory, co-innovation theory, customer dominant logic, and customer satisfaction. All of this begs the age-old question in any trade-off: was it worth it? You really need to know if the effort and time of putting together this new event app and embracing new technology, was it worth the cost? Was it worth the time, effort, man hours, all of that? So we'll definitely be diving into this a little more. However, I have to say event apps are becoming the norm at many meetings and conferences, and the convention industry is a huge contributor to the hospitality industry as a whole. The convention industry on a global scale is responsible for thousands and countless hotel nights, room blocks, restaurant reservations, and much more. So this study may also be of importance to the wider scope of the hospitality industry, as apps in general are becoming commonplace for even other areas such as shopping centers, hotels, attractions, cities, and visitors bureaus. I'd like to formally state the problem by going through three main points here. The first question I asked myself was, are event apps nice to have, or are they necessary? I'm going with necessary, not just because I work for a company that creates event apps, but also because trends show that we need to engage our customers and we need to focus on their levels of satisfaction. I already touched a little bit on the future of meetings with AI, chatbots, people asking us all the time, when are we incorporating chips and RFID and facial recognition, GPS positioning into our apps? So those are definitely some more important factors of why this is a gap in the industry. And as I already touched on, the cost benefit, is it worth it? Greening your meeting, co-creation, and co-innovated capital is also very important for blogging in the future. Attending conferences and meetings worldwide has also become a popular and common business practice for knowledge transfer. So throughout my study, I explored event apps and how they increase attendee engagement and thereby have become a staple at many meetings and conferences of the future. The study is also going to aim to add to the understanding that event apps are definitely no longer nice to have, but are necessary to have at all types of gatherings that fall under the convention industry. This paper affirms the belief that within the hospitality and meetings industry, that event apps are essential for meetings and conventions. Based on the literature review, this study hypothesizes that using event apps at meetings and conferences increases attendee engagement and has a positive impact on event attendees' level of satisfaction with the event and their overall event experience. Furthermore, the study also hypothesizes that this increased level of satisfaction and engagement has been known to have a positive impact on attendees becoming loyal to events. Customer loyalty is definitely something that we will be touching on in a few minutes. Um, However, the first theory in the theoretical and conceptual framework that I would like to go through is service dominant logic. By providing an app, a service is being provided. When you're providing this service, a reliable and invested partner is needed. Often, this partner, in my case, in the events and conventions industry, is the meeting planner or the event manager who has been mandated or requested by his or her superiors to implement the event app. What they're creating is value, and this value comes from co-creation between a customer and a company. This also links us to co-innovation and co-creation, where value is created and apparent at the time of consumption of the service, also definitely known as value in use. Value realization depends on the customer's participation in the service process. The beneficiaries determine whether value is indeed generated, thus making it beneficiary specific. Some effort is put into the co-creation by the customer and can be correlated to what they eventually get out of it. Sometimes this message might be hard to get across. An example here could be your mobile phone. If you don't use the apps on your phone, then what good is your phone, really? So in an event context, if you've got an event app and you're barely utilizing it, then there's not really any point to having it. And people are hungry for new technology with powerful and informed consumers in mind. It's definitely a great reason for co-creation value with customers, though, and with an obsessive focus for some on personalized interactions between the consumer and the company. We definitely want to almost be creating a bespoke experience for customers, and that's what they're looking for. That's what they're expecting when they co-create. With production and consumption combining forces, conventional conventional ways of the past where customers were not co-creating and co-innovating will need to be reassessed and modernized to keep up with engagement, with an engagement focused future. This also helps us touch on the last point here, which is the sharing online economy. When thinking of event apps, the merge of content being created by event organizers and event attendees is a valuable harmony, which often leads to an exchange of value that is obviously there, but has been difficult to quantify, track, and measure. An example of this, right from one of our own apps, is one of the features that we often suggest to add called the Speak Out feature. The Speak Out feature is basically an open forum and an open message board where attendees can post and discuss any number of topics. Anyone can post. So here we often suggest event managers or app owners can easily post a thought-provoking question or comment to spark the discussion. Like, hey, wasn't that speaker, Billie Jean King, amazing at the lunch session? After that, co-innovation and co-creation tends to happen organically and often leads to a plethora of knowledge sharing, co-creation of ideas, and sharing of commentary that is visible to all event attendees who've downloaded the app and are using it. This can also be applied in a travel agency context where A study was done by Grisman and Stokeberger Sauer in 2012, and they examined how involving customers in the creation of their own travel arrangement helps tailor the service to the customer's particular needs and hence creating a unique experience. The study also explores the importance and role the internet plays in empowering a customer who just as easily can gain knowledge on hotels, flights, destinations, etc. online. They can find reviews and other information from their fellow travelers. So, really helping to become more of a partner with the travel agent and create that experience is something to keep an eye on for the future. The next theory I'd like to talk about is service dominant logic and more on co innovation and co creation. Companies definitely face big challenges to keep pace with customers' rapidly changing needs. In order to tighten the development and feedback loop, companies would do well to give customers opportunities to design and develop through co innovation. Co innovation can also be formed by co conception of ideas, co design, co testing, co launch, including them in a pre app launch for events is definitely something we suggest all the time. Picking a focus group of some of your regular attendees and really taking a look at their thoughts. In this sense, customers have more influence over the product or service, and they integrate their own resources to create something new and better in the value co creation process. When pondering event apps, co creation comes to mind in a few places. First, when the event planner or planning team co-design their app with their mobile specialist to create the app to fit their goals and visions for the event. And second, where attendees collaborate, interact, harmonize, engage, and utilize the event app together to further co-create content and thought-provoking discussion at their event in a feature such as Speak Up. The customers also attendees use the app. Use of the app is also creating value and resources, which also can be documented for later reference. This relationship between co-creation and experience value is definitely a confirmed one by many studies. A couple of other things that customers are looking for is an increased demand for real-time event integrative information and having just a more immersive experience. The findings definitely show that adding technology to events creates more available and unforgettable experiences for attendees overall. The next thing I wanted to touch on are the 4 Ps and 7 Rs, which are shown here, and what digital events should encompass. So the model reflects critical touch points and experience levers, which may offer deeper understanding to the ever-evolving process of co-creation of experience value in and across the event experience scape. Figure 1 here, and also touched on in the paper, gives a graphic exemplification of these interlocking elements through the 4 Ps and 7 Rs of what digital events should encompass. It also shows the 4 Ps of people, process, personalization, and places as integrated, and the 7 Rs of rituals, realities, realms, resources, review, renewal are all woven into and presented across linked aspects with a particular focus on the key four central premises, which are more critical to the co-creation of value in the digital event experience. And those are resources, relational, review, renewal. Considering the trajectory of the industry and the incorporation of smart meetings and smart technology, everyone, including a study by Bustard et al., are in agreement with the track of this paper in proposing that event apps and increased attendee engagement are an essential for the future of the meetings and conference industry. To continue a little more on social exchange theory, we talk about what this is first, sociological and psychological theory. So basically it studies the social behavior of contact between two or more sides that apply a cost-benefit analysis to determine probabilities and benefits. With this in mind, it is rational to deduct that there are many sides and various parties exchanging information via event apps and throughout the event industry. Another study also investigated customers who have continuous use or their intention to continuously use an app or a service, and that degree, that reciprocity and reputation of social exchange touches on trust, vendor creativity, and it affects consumer satisfaction and intention. The results show that the intention to engage in online group buying, for example, is predicted collectively by consumer satisfaction, trust, and seller creativity. Gaining this consumer satisfaction and trust is often gauged using tools and features of the app, such as the survey feature, where stakeholders can implement any number of feedback surveys and polls, and seller creativity is often apparent in the design and branding of a meetings app, along with the features that they selected, the time and effort which goes into the app and creating it with clear, up-to-date, and accurate information. In fact, Xiao and Luo's study concluded that reciprocity, trust, satisfaction, and seller creativity provide considerable explanatory power for intention to engage in online group buying behavior, which definitely is an area that carries over to events and event apps. One of the main reasons for event apps is also knowledge transfer and those social exchanges in a professional or social context. To touch on those social exchanges, the level of service smartness impacts customer engagement for sure. And in contrast, management needs to increase customer engagement by enhancing smart service design and customer experiences. Smart services throughout the business and events industry are becoming synonymous and relied upon to bring meetings and events into the 21st century. The deduction made by the authors Hankins, Levier, and Verlet, which I touched on in my paper, are that research on social exchange theory also helps management gain insights on how the level of service smartness impacts customer engagement. Next, I'm going to be touching on attendee engagement. So, some of the important questions to ask here are, why are we having this event? What's the purpose? Who are the stakeholders? So, the importance of attendee engagement via technology is definitely seen when we look at facilitating co-creation and co-innovation. One of the main reasons is to continuously facilitate co-creation and co-innovation via the event app that can store all of the content that is created and utilized. An event app provides the perfect platform for where this co-creation and innovation can be documented, continued, and recorded for future use. Another example here is constant communication with your attendees to keep them engaged. With event apps, attendees can communicate in two ways: attendee to attendee via the internal app messaging system, or organizer to attendee, where an event organizer can send out an informational message or email to attendees. The Food and Marketing Institute, also known as FMI, had no benchmarks or expectations for an app that they were implementing for their 10,000 person annual event. They had a 60% download rate, which was a pleasant surprise. And they also were very excited that over half the attendees of the trade show downloaded and used the app. This is pretty important uh, in any trade show setting, because the main purpose for exhibitors paying to set up booths and be on their exhibitor floor is to realize how much the app brings the exhibitor and their information into the attendees' hands. So a study in 2010 by Mickey and concluded the article with the impressive data, stating by the end of the event, according to Beta and some of the other organizers, users had visited the exhibition floor map 2,200 times. They had clicked on exhibitors, the feature in the app, 14,000 times, and viewed speaker bios and other areas of the apps 800 plus times, and even clicked on sponsored banner ads 3,000 times or more within the span of this event. The IMF's attendees' experience was enhanced by having an all event-related information at their fingertips throughout the duration of the show. They were not fumbling with paper maps or looking for schedules, wasting time searching for exhibitor contact information. Simply put, everything they needed was already on the phone within their app. Above all, they offer many opportunities in terms of consumer engagement and establishment here for customer relationship management strategies. Research on app adoption does not particularly focus on engagement, and rather tends to focus on other theories such as motivation theory and that of app stickiness, which is an indicator of consumer loyalty towards the app or continuous use. Stickiness is something I chose to look into a little deeper for this presentation, as it is definitely part of Cvent's marketing and app strategy. It helps build customer relationships and definitely plays to the motivations for having a mobile app at all. I just wanted to emphasize some of the important points here: that repeated use of the app is stickiness. Repeated use of the app has been known to influence purchase behavior and definitely increase purchases for any company that has accepted this. Repeated use of the app in an event context has definitely increased interaction with conference materials, the brand, other attendees, discussion boards, presentations, etc. A branded app leads to an increase in future spending using the concepts of interactivity and stickiness, which has been mostly discussed in the web context in the past. So, to summarize, the authors use the concept of stickiness to draw a connection between how repeated use of an app influences purchase behavior, in that there's generally an increase in purchases. This concept can easily be related to the event apps and their repeated use, which also creates stickiness with app content, such as conference materials, presentations, and the overall event messaging from the organizing team or organization. I wanted to provide an example of this from an app that I actually made for a company called doTERRA. Every year, they have their annual meeting in Salt Lake City. The company releases their latest essential oils and fragrances and products. They create an app for 40,000 attendees and more. So, what you see in this set of screenshots is the entrance to the app, which is definitely branded with doTERRA's signature purple color and branding, and their font. The next screen you see is one which shows new product information highlighted. So when an attendee taps on this, they can view all of the new products, and each one has its own PDF document that's being uploaded here. Everything from celery seed to citronella, which one of my favorites that I got to smell when I attended this event was the lemon eucalyptus. And here you can find the product sheet. Attendees are able to store these or keep these for later reference, and a lot of these people are in multi-level marketing, which later on need this information to properly market and sell their products to their customers. So having all of this right in the palm of their hand is definitely very appreciated. Positive word of mouth behavior is definitely also something that is apparent at conferences. And the next area, which kind of leads into this, is the importance of attendee engagement. So Bowden in 2009 conceptualizes that customer engagement is a psychological process comprising cognitive and emotional aspects that lead to loyalty for both new and existing customers. On the other hand, some other studies conceptualize engagement as a psychological state that reflects a customer's particular psychological state induced by the individual's specific interactive experiences with a focal engagement object, such as an app. When thinking of event apps, all three perspectives need to be thoughtfully taken into account. An example of this could be elderly attendees' psychological process around adopting new technology just to attend a 1 or 2 day conference. There may be some pushback or reluctancy. So it's important that they see the immediacy of the benefits of downloading the app, and they need to be apparent and obvious to ensure attendee engagement. Often, conferences offer continuing education credits, which are required to continue in their profession. This is really popular in finance, legal, medical. and they're required to check into sessions using the event app. This motivational psychology and easy to adopt method persuades all types of attendees to an app. And once the habit is formed, they're usually pleased with the app and the ease of having all the event information in the palm of their hand. Kiss those paper sign-in sheets goodbye. Furthermore, event organizers are also pleased with the high rate of attendee engagement as they can literally see the ROI or the return on investment for the app in addition to perks such as getting rid of paper sign-in sheets, as I mentioned, and instead they can easily pull attendee reports for governing bodies with a few clicks in the app platform. ROI also definitely touches on branding and brand recognition. This really helps when selling an app to stakeholders, sponsors, exhibitors. With passive consumption, a thing of the past, attendee and consumer engagement often trends and has been known to repeatedly define the success of a product. New technology makes this content sharing and co-innovation an easy and sometimes enjoyable interaction. In conclusion, the authors I mentioned in my paper, Kunz et al. In 2017, stated that from a managerial perspective, the increased understanding of the customer using big data analytics has the potential for companies to help their customers simplify choices and make better decisions. This, in turn, encourages increased customer motivation for engagement. A symbiotic loop of helping one another is formed between customers and companies they work with, benefiting all. Who can say no to that? The next point I'll touch on is, again, the importance of attendee engagement. I wanted to showcase a quote from the CVENT president of Worldwide Sales and Marketing, Chuck Gura. He states that we are moving squarely into on-site event technology, our mobile apps, social walls, polling, etc. It used to be that event tech was all back office operations. It's great, but a thankless job. When the C-level sees the interaction now possible and they see how meeting professionals are connecting with brands, with clients and partners, they get excited and they want to fund it more. Attendee engagement wars have reached a fever pitch among meetings technology providers. Mobile meeting app startups like Bizzabo, Double Dutch, and Click Mobile have challenged what industry might consider old guard technology providers like CVENT, Lanyon, eTouches by introducing modern mobile user interfaces and focusing on the social and sharing aspects of on-site attendee engagement rather than on event operations management. This study was in 2016 by the author West. Fast forward to 2019, I mentioned the old guard CVENT. They definitely saw what newcomers like Quick Mobile and Double Dutch were doing, and as a previous Quick Mobile employee, I can tell you we're now owned by CVENT, and the most recent acquisition has also been Double Dutch. With all these valuable bits of information, numbers, attendance rates, live feedback, survey results, and more, the importance of attendee engagement with the event app becomes more difficult to dispute. Additionally, other peripheral benefits such as reduced or negligible dollars spent on printing schedules, tabulating paper surveys, and more add to the ease of use and the positive vibes that come automatically from greening a meeting. The outcomes of attendees' engagement are definitely apparent. Event analytics are readily and easily available. Surveys and event feedback can be implemented easily. What you see here in these 4 screenshots are an example of an event survey on a specific session, asking very specific questions a couple touches of a couple buttons, and the survey has been submitted, providing great ease for attendees. When customers' service needs are satisfied, it is typically due to a higher than normal level of engagement with the product. In case of event apps, this could correlate to a greater number of hours spent in the app, engaging with various features and event content. I wanted to provide another example here of the outcomes of attendees' engagement. And I didn't touch too much on this in my paper. However, crowdsourcing and live polling are just immensely popular and huge topics, which a whole separate paper could be written on them. I just wanted to point out here that the photo that you see on the left side is of a presentation that is being presented that incorporated crowdsourcing into their presentation. The speakers asked a question and attendees were able to answer this question on their mobile device. Here you see me with my laptop waiting for results to come in and then pushing the results to the main screen, which you see in the right photo in the top right corner. This allowed the speakers to cater their talk and within their realm of expertise on the subject to the audience that was there in that room. The best part is that this session was offered 3 times during the duration of the conference, and each day the results were different and the speakers were able to speak to what those exact attendees in that exact room wanted to hear about, wanted to talk about and discuss. I wanted to give another bit of an example from the FMI, which is the Food Marketing Institute's annual meeting, where it was quoted that the app, which essentially wraps a show program, show dailies, exhibit hall, map, and exhibitor directory into a smartphone interface, was offered free to the event's 10,000 attendees and downloaded 6,000 times. So this is just another view into the outcome of attendee engagement, where one is able to really understand the customer and the app's end user whose customer service needs are satisfied. The next section focuses on customer satisfaction. When discussing space, time, and network sociality, keeping in mind it is known that mobiles in any context alter how attendees or people consume an activity, build relationships, connections, and that technology, specifically at an event, alters the very essence of the event. I looked into a little bit of an example when it came to music festivals, and the article that I looked at had the authors discuss how the smartphone provides a new socio-technical substrate that provides users with local knowledge in an unfamiliar environment. Such knowledge in a festival context might be unforeseen variations to the schedule, or the fastest route back to your tent, or even a notification that an area is closed due to flooding. This immediate temporal and spatial knowledge can affect behavior, bring benefits for both attendees and managers. It can also help avoid disasters, such as people being caught in a flooded area. However, it was interesting to read the opposing view that certain music festival goers also thought that There is some concern that while apps are useful to have, they may concurrently also be detrimental to typical music festival culture and freedom by having attendees a little too immersed in their smartphone and app rather than the music, culture, and community of the festival atmosphere. Importance is really placed on the communitas and escapist experience within festivals, and participants sometimes feel that apps could definitely threaten this. I thought it was noteworthy to consider the point of view the author takes when talking about communitas and escapist experiences within a festival being dimmed, because many other event stakeholders actually implement apps for the very reason of increasing attendee engagement, co-creation, co-innovation, harmony, and networking. So whether or not the escapist experience is jeopardized or not still remains to be seen. The next portion is on customer experience and loyalty. Findings have been known to show event apps to be known as event aggregators, and examples such as the iBurn app for the famous Burning Man festival are given. A quick exploration of the iBurn website discusses what one would imagine as event essentials, such as accurate offline maps, intelligent event guide, for an incredible festival of this size and magnitude. The festival is approximately 10 days long, and one can swiftly navigate Black Rock City's 2,300 events by date, type, and place. A noteworthy point on the website is that, in keeping with Burning Man's sharing and community culture, the app software also mentioned to be free and open source, with links to the full source code for both iOS and Android. So, a free and flowing culture has also channeled this into their app and embracement of technology. The bespoke app is definitely tailored to their audience and takes it a step further by giving and sharing their knowledge on how the app was created with all of their attendees. The authors also touch on app development costs and how to monetize event apps, which may or may not be of relevance to an event marketing teams and essentially event planners desperately who are sometimes trying to balance their budgets with the use of sponsorships. This definitely allows one to monetize their app. Additional effort put forth by event organizers has fostered a community of loyal and engaged festival goers, which results in an improved experience, higher levels of satisfaction, and event loyalty. Customer loyalty and repeat attendance at festivals, in particular, is often known to make up a large portion of revenue. We come to word of mouth next, which is where we wonder if it's reasonable to assume that when customers have the opportunity to co-create a travel package, for example, are they more likely to repurchase from the same company again and recommend the company to others? With these facts in mind, the importance of customer loyalty and engagement is of utmost importance when creating experiences. Launching event apps or holding festivals with an 80,000 person following in the middle of the desert annually. Effort made to include the customer in the creation and decision-making process truly pays off positively with customer loyalty and value creation. For people who, like myself, who are passionate about environmental impacts, I would say this definitely ties into loyalty. If an event was making efforts to be greener, and another event was making no effort, I would definitely be more inclined to go with the greener event and commend their efforts that they have put in. According to Meeting Professionals International, events contribute 115 billion to the United States gross domestic product, or GDP. In the not too distant past and present, much of this has been spent on paper products such as printed conference materials, paper agendas, and more. Around the world, new technology is changing the way events and conferences are set up and conducted. Additionally, with forces like Greta Thunberg leading the charge, the world is slowly trending toward trying to create a greener future. Mobile is taking every industry by storm, and the events industry is no exception. With less printing and eliminating shipping costs, apps are definitely the way to go because changes and edits can be easily done. There are no leftover or left behind conference materials. We often see abandoned notebooks or schedules everywhere at events. So feedback surveys are no longer on paper. There's no manual consolidation. Just click and pull an analytics report. Green meetings are definitely trending. Countless companies and business owners have committed to going green in the events industry. In fact, 95% of planners say that the best way to go green is to cut back on printing and shipping. 82% of planners who've gone mobile say that they have been able to reduce or remove paper printing altogether. For the discussion and summary, I would like to say that I have explored a variety of theoretical frameworks pertaining to event apps, especially those of co-creation and co-innovation, which result in amazing value added. I investigated the role event apps play in facilitating co-creation and co-innovation, definitely making a customer-centric environment. The goal of this research was to explore, one, a variety of theoretical frameworks pertaining to event apps and how they contribute to attendee engagement at events. Two, investigate the role event apps play in facilitating co-creation and co-innovation. And three, consider other aspects of events which are impacted by embracing event technology advances, such as event apps. In particular, event apps are major contributors to bringing meetings and events into the future with new technology, going paperless and allowing for added functionality such as live polling, crowdsourcing, analytics, and even event sponsor opportunities. The process of IT-enabled value co-creation in the tourism industry. And by relation, event app industry is one of great importance, as this is where customer satisfaction and engagement is manifested and brought to the forefront. In turn, higher customer satisfaction and engagement rates have been known to create customer loyalty and brand loyalty among events and their apps. The findings of this research prove that putting customer-centric plans, such as purchasing an event app, into place when designing an event is vital to the success of events and conferences in the 21st century. The obvious environmental advantage is that they're also increasingly reducing our reliance on printing. The commitment to reducing paper usage is paired with commitment to providing great mobile tech is a perfect start for anyone looking to up their green event planning game. With more advances such as cashless payment methods and paperless, eco-friendly initiatives trending in other industries, the event industry can be no exception when it comes to keeping up. Embracing event apps increases attendee engagement and is an essential for the future of meetings and conferences because the outcomes of engaged attendees co-creation is so incredibly valuable during and after the event taking place. Documenting and archiving co-innovated material for later reference and use is value co-created by companies and attendees. I'd like to end by touching on limitations and delimitations. For this study, the author will only be utilizing articles written and published in English. This limitation exists because the author, chair, and professor have all agreed to University of Las Vegas, Nevada policy of submitting assignments in standard written English. This limitation cannot be overcome because given the compressed time frame of this course, it is not feasible to translate articles and resources from other languages. Furthermore, the event app industry has already endured a formidable shakeup from Apple in 2017. Apple is requiring event app vendors to move to a universal app model in which all accounts and events would exist within a single vendor-branded container app. Here you see an example of Visa Events and Meetings, one of our clients. Previously, every event had a separate app that would need to be downloaded from the App Store. In the case of Visa, which has taken the turn for the vendor-branded container app, this container only needs to be downloaded from the App Store once and then utilized multiple times for multiple events. An article by Lawrence Coburn continues to support the move to a universal app model and shares the view that the move to a universal app model will enable powerful functionality that simply wasn't possible in a siloed white label app model. This study will be focusing primarily on enterprise-level clients and large companies and customers using their container event apps. This is a limitation of consideration as this is the niche area of expertise of the author and white label apps will not be considered. The author's primary job function is to consult, build, and guide enterprise clients through their event app building experience while utilizing company container apps. Single event apps and other types are not drawn upon for examples or discussion. This limitation allowed me, the author, to keep within the scope of this paper. Please view this presentation for the references. Thank you for listening and thank you for taking the time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.